waiting for the camera. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is September 4th already. Regular meeting of our Board of Selectmen. Please rise while we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
And Mrs. Smith, for the minutes, we're returning from executive session with nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion on the minutes, please?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Second? All in favor, I'm seconding.
Aye.
We have a couple of department heads here this evening. I had asked Matt Tennis to come in tonight, Matt Tennis, I'm sorry, to give a monthly report on the situation we have with the mosquitoes. Michael, nice. Matt, nice to see you.
Good evening, good to see you too. So actually, I have an update from DPH about an hour or two ago, not specific to Raynham, but statewide. But just in general, the threat of mosquito-borne illness has definitely been a priority the last month and will continue for sure, at least through September and probably October. Earlier in the month, as it's been brought to your attention before, a mosquito in Bridgewater had tested positive for West Nile virus that had come out of a sample pool. And the week after that, another one in Easton. On August 20th, a mosquito tested positive for West Nile virus in a sample pool or trap that the state collects mosquitoes in the southeast quadrant of Raynham. I wasn't given the exact location, but they just said the southeast part of the town. To date, no additional positive samples have been found in Raynham. Across the state, 391 mosquitoes have tested positive for West Nile virus that have come out of the sample pools. And as of a couple hours ago, 2 animals have tested positive for West Nile virus. One was a horse, and I believe the other was a llama. And 9 humans have tested positive for West Nile virus, 4 of which were just announced. One of them was in Bristol County, not in Raynham because we didn't get an immediate notification, and we haven't been told where in Bristol, but it is coming down this way. I think the heightened mosquito activity has definitely been as a result of the tropical air and excessive rain and humidity and warm weather that we've been having. And as a result of the increased mosquito activity, the state raised the West Nile virus threat level statewide to moderate, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago. And recently, due to the human cases, I think they raised it to high right in the Boston area. So Raynham still remains at a moderate risk for West Nile virus, and we are at a low risk for Eastern equine encephalitis, EEE. And there have been no positive EEE samples at all in the state or reported cases, which is good.
That's good to know.
So just for the public, with August and September being peak mosquito activity months, it's important to use the following precautions to avoid mosquito bites. Apply insect repellent and wear long pants and long sleeves when outdoors, and I know it's hot, but you want to do everything you can to avoid bites. Be aware of peak mosquito hours, so try to limit outdoor activity from dusk to dawn, and do your best to mosquito-proof your home. This can be repairing or replacing screens, and also try and drain any standing water that's around your house. Could be a bucket, trash can, if you have a bird bath, change the water frequently, things like that. Mosquitoes can breed in approximately 4 days in minimal amounts of standing water. And symptoms of West Nile virus can include fever, headache, body aches, nausea, and sometimes swollen lymph nodes. If you experience any symptoms, it's advised to see a physician. And if anyone would like any additional information on either West Nile virus or EEE, there is some facts on Mass DPH website, or we have some information in the Board of Health office. And if anyone has any questions about it or concerns, they can certainly call the Board of Health or ask DPH. As far as spraying, there is no aerial spraying. Only if a confirmed human case of EEE in the state would aerial spraying be considered by the state. So right now, I believe Bristol County Mosquito Control is doing some ground spraying, and anyone at home can certainly call to have their area sprayed. Other than that, other activity within the health department has been routine. I have a list of inspections that we've been doing over the past month. We did finish our tanning, our annual tanning salon inspections. We've begun some of the lodging in inspections, and we'll probably be finishing those up for the next week or two. And we had 4 nuisance Chapter 2 inspections, 3 of which are now in full compliance, and 1 will be an ongoing issue that the state is handling with the Department of Agriculture and DPH, that we're kind of working with them on. Just a farm issue. 3 that were in compliance. 1 was on Michael Road. I know that had been an issue in the past. We received an additional complaint. The house was being cleaned out, and there was a refrigerator in the back full of food, which was taken care of within 24 hours. The other 2 were, 1 was a trash issue on Route 138, and also we received a complaint regarding the water tower that was being refinished, which by the time we got the complaint went out, it was already dealt with. So.
Very good.
You're welcome. Any questions?
No, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Sure. Anytime.
Is this an unusual amount of West Nile?
Last year, the total in the state of human cases was 6, so we're already at 9 this year. It comes in waves. Every few years it seems to be a little worse, whether it may be the weather patterns, things like that. Definitely the winters can even impact it, the amount of cold and snow cover, things like that too.
Right.
So we did have a lot of rain this spring, which contributed.
It just seemed like a big number when you said, 300 and some odd tests.
That's, yeah, statewide. I know,
Yeah.
I think more of the positive samples more towards like the Worcester area and Western Mass is where they first started to pop up, so.
Well, thank you so very much for your report, and keep us apprised of anything else that turns up.
Absolutely.
And just come in anytime to make a report.
Sure.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have Jim Donovan here. Is the chief coming in?
I feel like he was just in like a week or 2 ago.
Oh. Was he? 2 weeks ago?
Oh yeah, so I doubt he's in.
Oh, maybe that's just a misprint.
Fact sheet was at the last one.
All right, well, we have no appointments this evening. We have no public hearings. We just have the 2 poll locations that have to be signed. I think we did that last week, though, the poll locations, did we not?
No, you have to call it to order, and if there's any input, then we can vote.
All right, no? Okay, I'm probably not going to be here. All right, I'll call a public hearing to order at 7:10, and it's regarding of 2 joint poll locations for TMLP and Verizon. One is on Pine Street in the town of Raynham. Both of them are on Pine Street in the town of Raynham. Is anyone here to speak in objection to them
Did you have something
or in
for it?
favor?
No, I had an update to the board.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let me do this first, and then we'll do it. No comments? Any comments from anyone here?
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll sign that afterwards and get that approved. Mr. Buckley, would you like
I
to?
wasn't sure if it was my night tonight, but since I'm here.
Always your night, Mr. Buckley.
Good evening. I have some updates from the Highway Department. We are continuing to cut all our retention areas throughout the town. It's a summer-long process. We're also utilizing the new mini excavator we purchased that we received from town meeting, and that's working out well. It can get into some areas we can't normally access with the equipment we already have, so that's a big benefit, saves some time. We're also repairing catch basins out there. We've had a more than usual number of repairs that we had to do this summer on some catch basins to get those in shape before the winter begins. Is a good thing. We're also, I hate to say it, working on our winter equipment, getting ready for the upcoming season, and we found one of our older trucks. We have one of the trucks is 20 years old, one of the six-wheel Sanders, and we noticed when working on that, we noticed a big crack in the frame, so we're going to have to do, we evaluated it. We had a couple of experts look at it to see if it could be repaired. It's a safety issue, so we're going to replace the frame rail. The truck, it overall is in good enough condition to warrant doing it, and we couldn't be without the truck for the winter. It'd be a big challenge, so
Good.
we're going to go ahead and get it done, and we're happy that we found it this early. We've completed the parking lot improvements and line painting over at the Merrill School for the basketball court and along the left side of the school building. That's all set. That was done just before first day of school. We're doing street sweeping as needed right now. Pretty much the whole town's been done. We do occasionally hit some of the main roads right now, just if we've had any kind of storm or whatever, but pretty much done with that until the leaves fall. Assisted the town clerk in the setting up the voting booths for the primary. We're also working with the Raynham Channel over at the South School, trying to assist them with some planned improvements on the facilities outside the building. Contractors, we're still waiting on a few of our contractors to finish out this year, mainly the sidewalk on White Street, which, they told us the end of September. Right now,
Right.
that target is still, haven't heard any change on that yet. And then we have crack sealing and line painting still to go. Working with the planning board and building department for construction oversight of some of the new developments, Raynham Preserve, and a few smaller projects. Parks and grounds, we've spread all the compost that they use over at the middle school in lieu of fertilizer because of the town wells. That's been done. They're out pruning shrubs and did a lot of dress up for all the schools before school started. Helping the leagues with athletic fields. And the last thing, the solar farm construction is moving along. We see them up on top of the hill every day, so that's, they're making progress up there. That's all I have.
That certainly is enough.
Thank you.
Any questions for the, no questions?
Appreciate
Thank
all
you,
your
Ed,
hits.
very much. Do we have any new business?
Madam Chair,
No.
Any old business?
I would just ask Madam Chair if the board's resolved any concerns they had with the Assistant Town Administrator posting.
Pat had some concerns about that last time.
Yeah, I do. I have not got confirmation. My understanding is that there is an ethics stipulation that if someone has a current position, paid position in a municipality, in order to be appointed to a second position, that has to be publicly advertised. And I think this position was internally advertised. But also I have concerns about the position that was proposed. I think since it's extremely doubtful that the essential duties and responsibilities detailed in the job description are going to be accomplished in the 2 to 3 hours per week listed in the posting. And I think it's unrealistic to think that anyone is going to work 2 to 3 hours per week, which would translate to 100 to 150 hours per year, at that level for only a stipend of $2,000 per year. And I think since acting as the town administrator in his or her absence is already in the job description for the administrative assistant to the town administrator, and since our town administrator has at his disposal current town officials and board members, including the Finance Committee, Capital Planning Committee, Town Treasurer, and Town Auditor to assist in budgetary and financial matters, as well as resources through MMA and other state agencies. And since providing assistance with human resources issues, I think would be better accomplished with a part or full-time human resources director, which from what I'm hearing, is a critical need for the town. Therefore, my recommendation would be that the Selectmen place a hold on the position of Assistant Town Administrator and refer it to the proposed Government Study Committee looking into the needs of the town. And we consider increasing some of the administrative responsibilities listed in the administrative assistant's position, with some or all of the stated stipend going with any such increased responsibilities. And the Selectmen go forward with taking whatever steps necessary to create the Human Resources Director's position, either on a part-time or a full-time basis. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, so we're back to square one with that then. Did you want to make that in the form of a motion?
I will, or I would be willing also to refer that to the Government Study Committee that we mentioned to look at all of those possibilities, whether we, would be better served with the Assistant Town Administrator, Human Resources Director. I think that's really a critical position that actually can save the town hundreds, thousands of dollars, or cost the town hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have spoken with some other people within town government who have said that position would greatly help them. I know when we went to that training for selectmen, all of the discussion of training, necessary training, hiring and I don't want to say firing, but hiring and firing practices, all of that would be so important with the Human Resources Director, and I think a couple of incidents that I've heard of also would have been well addressed if we had someone in that position.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to table the whole discussion again or what, but that's my feelings about it.
Well, it seems to be more than one in your direction. I'm in favor, definitely, of the study committee. So why are we going to go ahead and start putting people in positions if the study committee ended up saying that they didn't think that was necessary, but XYZ is
Take a look
instead
at all
of?
of those
And they will look
options.
and look at the whole situation.
I didn't get a positive vote on that. I had made that as a motion as part of my goals and objectives.
Well, you had,
established a government
yes, you had a
study.
great list, though, and remember I told you I asked that you hone in on specifics. And the study committee was one thing that I had said at that time that I thought was I think right now is what we need. So is that a motion?
I will make-
Can we start, go ahead.
Yeah, before we start going to other motions, I still had the floor, Madam Chair, and I
Yep.
was still on a topic, if you don't mind.
No,
Thank you.
not.
So I hear your perspective, Ms. Riley, and I don't dispute the need for a Human Resources Director, but a couple things to keep in mind. There's no position as such yet, and there's no budget for it as such yet. So we couldn't post for a position that we don't have a budget for.
Right.
So to clarify that, we do have a budget for an assistant town administrator. We've almost always had an assistant town administrator, and the reason why I advocate for one is the key role it plays, not just in assisting the town administrator, but having somebody with a supervisory role who directly reports to the board. When Mr. Flaherty was our assistant town administrator, there was one incident in particular when Mr. Buckner was out of town on vacation. Mr. Flaherty had to step up and coordinate it for the town, and had it not been for having an assistant town administrator in that instance, talk about a situation that really could have went badly, and when you talk about costing the town money, could have cost the town a significant sum of money. You need a chain of command. We have no clear number two person in all of town acting on the board's behalf. If Mr. Flaherty is on vacation and he's entitled to vacation, out sick, his kids are sick, his wife is sick, this board is not meant to micromanage. We set policy, we issue directives as an entire board, not independently, not one of us. It takes 2 votes to pass something. They have to follow our directive, but we need somebody here who's following our directives and implementing our directives. And if Mr. Flaherty's out, there's nobody in town hall who fills that void. And that's why every other department has an assistant's position. The treasurer collector's office, the town clerk's office, the police department, the fire department, the highway department, the sewer department, the water department. They all have an assistant's position because you need that succession planning. And at the top of the organization chart, to have a void of such an important position, to me, I just don't think it's appropriate. my suggestion is we fill this position because we haven't even appointed a single member yet to the Government Study Committee. As you said, we haven't approved the Government Study Committee yet, so it's going to take time to approve it, to assemble it, for them to meet and issue a report. You could be realistically talking a year, and that's a year of keeping, to me, an extremely vital and inexpensive position vacant. And when you talk about people wanting to do it, we had 4 people apply for it, so clearly there's an interest for it. And I'm just trying to help us get the town moving in a good direction again, because we've had so many positions vacant for, in my opinion, way too long, this being one of them.
Only one point that I would make, the administrative assistant's position states, works under the direction of town administrator and board of selectmen, performs varied municipal management duties in the absence of the town administrator. So I think we have someone on board that is certainly capable, and it is in her job description right now, municipal management duties in the absence of the town administrator.
So,
It's obvious you and Miss Riley don't want to move forward with it, so I don't have the votes to move forward with it, and that's fine. That's the prerogative of both of you, but I just want the record to reflect that I have significant concerns with leaving this position vacant. I think it's detrimental to the functions of this town and sound municipal government. So,
then I would suggest we table it until you can get together with all of us and decide who would be on a study committee. And at the moment, the job description that has already got the person in place continue on just the way she does, fulfilling the job description that she already has. I don't know what else to say at this point.
If it would be appropriate, Mrs. Smith, I would make the motion to go forward with that one item on my goals and objectives about establishing a government study committee.
I would second that for discussion. I would ask what you're looking for in terms of a size, a duration, directives. I mean, to form a committee, we have to give people directives and goals, and, I mean, the last time we had a government study committee, it went to town meeting, and as I recall it, it imploded. Nothing came of it. So I think if we're gonna go through this exercise again, it has to be clearly thought out what the parameters are, how long we plan on having it be intact, how many members, justification on who the members should be, why they should be there, all those different types of things.
And that would be the steps to follow to determine all of that after we vote to just go forward with looking
Okay,
into that.
that's fine. I seconded it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anything else
Not under old business.
under old business? Okay. Town Administrator, would you like to give a report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. North School, the outside concrete steps are finished. Final painting should be done, and the cleaning service for the entire building will be done beginning next week. We still haven't received a report from the Mass Department of Public Health regarding that air quality assessment they did. And along those same lines, HVAC for the town hall, we've been recommended by specifically our HVAC contractor. If we want better efficiency and to avoid problems in the future, we need to insulate the attic. I can send out quotes if you wish, but he's thinking it might cost between $15,000 and $20,000.
We would need to get quotes for that.
Yeah, but if you want me to start moving forward with it, I'll certainly do that.
I would definitely say so.
Okay.
I want to get that done before
Yeah.
winter sets in.
And it's something that can be done either at night or on the weekend.
Yeah.
With very minimal disruption for town hall. The Capital Planning Committee, I've been in touch with all the members, and a meeting is scheduled for next week at Tuesday, September 11th at 5 p.m. And then we'll have a preliminary report for the selectmen at that time. Along those same lines, I'd like to wish Brendan Loftus a speedy recovery. He's been impacted by medical situation, and I heard he's on the mend, but he's unable to participate at this time with the Capital Planning Committee. The Animal Control Officer vehicle updates. The new vehicle will have shelving and lights installed next week. The lettering's been done, so we're almost finished with that. And there was a question over the past couple months about email sign-up for residents. They're not getting those email notices that they used to get, and it was like I couldn't see the forest for the trees. It's a big email button right on our homepage on our website that's always been there. But I think what happened was when we transferred from the old website to the new website, the list that we had got somehow corrupted or compromised. So if anyone was on the old email blast that they used to receive notifications, please re-sign up if you'd like to continue receiving those emails about town meetings and Raynham News. And I believe Historical Commission still needs 2 members. Please contact the Selectmen's office for any more information on that. Next Selectmen's meeting will be next week, a week from tonight at 7 p.m. Next Department Head meeting will be September 20th. Southeastern Mass Health Group meeting will be the 13th of September in Seekonk, and Sursage meeting will be September 19th in Mansfield. And that's it.
Any questions for David?
None, thank you.
Pat, do you have any questions for David?
No, thank you.
I got a dumb question.
Yeah.
When we talk about North School, it's off the wall. When you go into a handicap bathroom, which way does the door go?
I'm not sure. I think that's either an architectural design question or maybe a building commissioner question.
It's a code. It's supposed to swing
It's
a
supposed-
particular
Yeah.
way.
I'm
Like-
sorry?
It's supposed, I don't know which way.
You mean like left-handed or right-handed, or inside to outside?
Inside, outside.
That's a very good
I
question.
would think probably in. Because if you're handicapped, you're not gonna be able
Yeah.
to go out to close the door.
Can you look the code up?
Sure. We don't have any
Because-
contractors in the audience, do
No,
we?
no contractors here. Ed, do you happen to know?
I'm only guessing, but I think it would be out so that they don't get trapped inside by the door. So
Yeah.
it's easier
You know,
to-
it's a funny thing, because when I went to the school, and, we had a meeting at the school, and I went in there, and I'm looking at everything, and I'm saying, something doesn't look right to me. So I opened the door, and it went in. And then I started looking at every handicap door in every restaurant that I go to and every place else, and they all open out. So then I thought, well, maybe it's the way the building is designed. Maybe that the handicap bathroom itself is designed, because I noticed in one restaurant, they have a bathroom downstairs and a bathroom upstairs. The bathroom downstairs, it goes in. But when it goes in this way, and the actual toilet is there. So there's huge room for anybody to get in, maneuver, and whatever. And in the other bathroom, it comes out, because the toilet is like right in front of you, so you couldn't maneuver a wheelchair in. So I thought maybe, well, that's the reason that it's in or out.
I would say we can just get an expert opinion.
Yeah, because
Because-
that was a very non-expert.
Exactly.
It's just by observation. But I really would like to know, because
Sure.
I don't want it to, be
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah, absolutely.
down there. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
John Texer up first.
Yes, John?
I can come up. In terms of that, if you think of, that's related to you, men's room, you go into a men's room in the stalls, the individual stalls, the doors all turn in.
On the small
Handicap
ones.
stall, the door
Goes
comes
out.
Because if they were to go in, if they were inside the stall with a wheelchair and the door came in, they'd never get out of the stall. It has to open out. That's the way it
Oh, good.
is.
Well,
In
thank-
most rooms, as you notice these, they all
Yeah.
open out and don't open in.
Yeah.
That's just, I'm not an expert, but I've been in a lot of restrooms.
Well, that's-
The older I get, the more time I spend there.
Well, that's what I do, John. And every place I go, I'm running to the restroom and say, well, let me check their doors and see how they go.
There's an old saying, that once you reach the age of 60, you can never pass up a men's room. But if you think about it, though, in the men's room, the doors always open out on the handicap stall, so that they can get out with the wheelchair, because pulling the door in, they'd be trapped.
They'd be trapped in there. Thank you very much for that. It's still double checking. So we have it on, this is definitely the right thing. Let's see, Selectmen's report?
Just one
Joseph,
quick
what have we
thing.
got?
Half an hour left, if people haven't voted yet, they can get out and vote.
Yep.
It was a pretty low turnout so far today,
Yeah.
but about 28 minutes left at the middle school, and that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And
Pat,
along-
do you have anything?
Yeah, along those lines, just want to publicly thank the school department for postponing school for a day, the start of school, so that the first day of school wouldn't interfere with our voting at the
Right.
Raynham Middle School. And just want to welcome back all of our administrators, faculty and staff, and students and parents and volunteers to the 2018-2019 school year. Doesn't that sound incredible? And I will say that our RAVE organization is starting its 38th year, providing volunteers and volunteer programs in our schools. And one of our most important programs is riding on those kindergarten buses during the first few days of school. So our RAVE coordinator, Becky George, along with Kara Peters, our kindergarten reception chairperson, are actively seeking volunteers, our RAVE volunteers, to ride on those buses Thursday and Friday of this week and Monday and Tuesday of next week. And so if any volunteers are out there, RAVE volunteers, and you haven't been contacted yet, give Becky a call, or you can get in touch with her on ravevolunteercoordinator@gmail.com.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, my wife is already doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure she
Thank you,
is. I'm
John.
sure she is. I think Becky Mello is also.
Becky's
yeah,
on the
Becky's
list, of
doing that,
course.
too. Well, I want to remind everybody, too, that the Pride Day will be on September 16th from 1 to 4. And they ask your entrance fee to be canned goods for the
Food basket?
food basket, food pantry, non-perishable food pantry. That'd be it. Correspondence, very little in correspondence this evening. That we've already done. That's the poll location. We have 2 tag days. One for the Norton Youth Football for the 11:24 and 11:25. And the House of Hope in New Bedford, September 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20, 25, 26, and 27. Holy cow.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
And that takes care of correspondence for the evening. We have no press time? Do we have any emergency business? Did you have something, ma'am?
I have a question.
Please step up to the podium.
Thank you. Kathy Kenny, 301 Broadway. Just a question, from the meeting, the last meeting,
Yep.
there was a discussion of the Route 138 Business District.
Yes.
And the board had suggested that, I don't have both names, that a Mr. Donahue would moderate a meeting, and a Mr., and it started with an A, Abrute?
Iafrate.
Iafrate.
Okay, I couldn't hear it. Was going to do this process. Has anything been done to work on this process to see if we can get it on the ballot?
David can answer that question.
Yeah. Bob Iafrate, the building commissioner, has reached out to the existing members that were on that committee up to the last town meeting, correct, John? And so they're going to have a preliminary meeting, at which time they're going to, I guess, kind of brainstorm and figure out, how many new members they'd like or need, and maybe reorganize in terms of chair. John might know more about this than me.
If I may.
Please.
Well, I'd like to finish one before he
Oh,
goes.
sure, go ahead.
I'd like to, don't take the, okay. I'd also like to, I think you made a misstatement at the last meeting.
Misstatement?
A misstatement, okay?
Possible.
You were talking about the meetings that we went to, a grant was given to
Yes.
look over this 138, and you
Yes.
had said it was about the Southeast Rail. It was absolutely not about the Southeast Rail. I was at those meetings. I remember the gentleman went down to Truro or somewhere and made these detailed things of how to do it. So the Southeast Rail had nothing other than that it was coming through.
If I may,
Yep.
okay? Again, I
Madam
could- I
Chair,
could
can
be
we
wrong.
have them at the podium, please?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah. No, I just wanted to finish mine and let him.
No,
speak.
absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you.
John takes care of First Street. The meeting you're referring to is when Grant King from Serpent made the presentation, and he had all the pictures and so forth. That was after the committee had come up with a recommendation for a proposal. The meeting with the state, and I'm trying to think of the young lady's name, who was headed up the South Coast Rail, she still does. What is it?
Jean Fox.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, she was interviewed for the Serpent directorship a couple of years ago. Anyway, she specifically said it was to study the impact of the South Coast Rail to Route 138. That was what that grant was. Now, you brought up the point that there were other committees and and that may be, and I don't dispute that at all, but that particular grant was to assess the impact of South Coast Rail to Route 138. And as we all know, at least right now, there is no impact to Route 138 from the South Coast Rail. In terms of the thing you were talking about, I'm informed by Bob Iafredi that his committee is going to meet on the 11th, which is next week, before this meeting, and discuss what they want to do, and then they're going to come up here for your meeting and ask you for your direction. What do you want them to do? Because if you recall, at the last meeting, Danny turned over the book to you,
I have it right here.
and he said, you tell me what you want to do. Now, he happens to be on that committee. I don't know if he'll continue to be on that committee, but he was on that original committee. And that board plans to come up here, and you're going to tell them whether you want them to continue, to cancel, change their direction, throw the book away, or whatever it is you want them to do. That's what they're going to be asking you for next Tuesday night.
Okay,
That's my understanding from Bob.
thank you very
Okay.
much for your input.
Thank you, John. That's just the answer I needed.
You give it a demo. You know what you told me? Did I say that right? I didn't read that.
That answered your question, ma'am?
That answered my question. I'll be here next week.
Okay. Mr. Iafredi, did you have something you wanted to contribute?
Just came unless you had a question, but I can't answer the question for you.
Okay,
As far as your handicap door question,
That's what I was going to ask.
oh, you're quick.
if it's a single-use stall, you're allowed to swing in. If there's more than two, it's got to swing out.
Say this again. A single-use stall, in other words, if there's only one stall in a room.
It can swing in.
And it needs to have a 6-foot radius, correct?
Yeah, it has to have be dimensionally built correctly, but if you have a single-use handicap stall, the door can swing in,
Thank you.
okay?
That answers the question. And that must be a legitimate decision.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I
assume
mean.
that he inspected it
Yeah.
when it was done,
The North School?
Yeah.
It's fine.
so. See that, Madam Chair? I still have a few things up here.
You've got a lot up there, kid. All right. John, this is that book that was given, of which I will pass it on to, I believe, is John Donahue?
Bob has contacted him, and I contacted the senior center, and they said, we're welcome to use it any night except Monday night. There's some other town committee that uses it on a Monday night. And based on what you tell Bob next week, that's going to determine whether we're going to have that public forum or not.
Okay.
So it's in your hands, the three of you.
God almighty. Okay, that's it.
Motion to adjourn, sign the bills, no business thereafter.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all very much for coming.